So we covered the idea of range, vocal range. We looked at registers within the range. But we've actually been able to give vocal types an identification also. And I'll give you a really simplified version of what the vocal types are. So let's start at the bottom of the scale, or the bottom of the actual ranges, and that would be the bass vocal type. And the bass vocal type, we'll say, starts at F2 and goes up to F4. The baritone will play from A2 to A4. The tenor will play from C3 to C5. So if you remember from our last module, I was comfortable singing from C3 to C5. Da 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 da, which means I'm probably a tenor vocalist. Now let's look at the female vocalist. Well, there is another voice that kind of is a lot higher for males, which is the countertenor, but let me actually move on to the female vocalist and then I'll come back to the countertenor. So the female vocalist, lower range, I'll call it alto, but there's a lot of discussion about what the contralto voice and the alto voice is. But let's just keep this really simple and say that the alto voice is from F3 to F5. The mezzo-soprano voice would be from A3 to A5. And the soprano voice would be from C4 to C6. Good luck, sopranos, hitting that note. So the idea of the bass voice, the baritone voice, and the tenor voice is really natural for male vocalists. The alto voice, the mezzo-soprano voice, and the soprano voice is actually natural for female vocalists. There is a voice that's actually kind of in between, and that's the countertenor for males. And if I gave you a range for the countertenor, it might start at E3. But some countertenors are known to produce notes that are the same as soprano vocalists. So if there's a countertenor in your neighborhood, you might want to go check them out because you'll see something really fascinating going on with vocal register. So we've covered the idea of vocal range, we've looked at the registers within vocal range, and we've actually identified vocal types: the bass vocal, the baritone vocal, the tenor vocal, the alto vocal, the mezzo-soprano, and the soprano, and we've also included a little bit about the countertenor. Now let's look at what happens once we've created this singing performance, this thing that's actually resonating with life. Where does it go once it leaves our body? And we'll look at the listening environment in our next module.